Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this version class. So, in the face-to-face lecture, actually, we have started this chapter, which is a little bit long, but it's easy to understand. There are many parts, sections of it that you have already seen before. So, the chapter is about wireless, remote and wide area network. It discusses how you can have your Wi-Fi network, which is wireless network, and how actually you plan for LAN configuration, how you make the remote access. Okay, so it has a very interesting part regarding the cloud computing, the LAN configuration, and Wi-Fi and wireless communications in general, how you can deal with them. So, as we have said in the face-to-face lecture, that the wireless LANs are widely used now, and they are everywhere because most of the laptops actually now connects through wireless LAN, which is a trend that no one can deny now. So whenever there is a laptop, there is a mobile phone, all of these connect through the wireless LANs, and the most important protocol here is the 800 2.11. Okay, this is the most important protocol that defines how the wireless through the internet can be. It has protocols for defining how the data goes in a wireless way, and it has versions, as you know, A, B, N, G. So in order to have your network, actually you need equipment, as you know. You need the network adapter, which is has to be attached in your usually now it's built in your mobile phone, or it's built in the laptop. For the PCs, some PCs has this as integrated in the motherboard. Some of them have it on as a card, like the NIC card, also the wireless adapter, and it depends on your need. For the PCs, not all PCs, they have access point adapter. The other thing is that you need one or more the wireless access points, or what we call WAPs. Okay, WAPs. So you just need the your network adapter along with the wireless access points, and then you need to specify on the frequency. Okay, as we said in the lecture, there are two types of frequency range, and they come with disadvantages. There are the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz range. Okay, and the choice between them depends on the bandwidth you want. For the 5 gigahertz, it has wider bandwidth than 2.4, of course, but 2.4 also is good in terms of less attenuation. Attenuation means the lose of signal after when signal travels for a long time, sometimes become weak. So this is called attenuation. So actually, for the Wi-Fi and also the other topologies, the physical topologies, they use similar topologies, similar to the Ethernet. So you can use the physical star logical bus when you are, for example, using the infrastructure mode. There is it a question, Omar, or I couldn't get you? So that's how you use Wi-Fi. And what is required to know here is that you have to know the kind of protocol that works. We have the CSMA-CA, which works in two approaches, either distributed coordination function, DCF, or VCSM. Okay, so these are the protocols using Wi-Fi when you use the CSMA-CA. Also the standards for this protocol 802.11. They come in version B, version G, and N. Okay, so A is very old and it's not actually practically in use now. B came after, and G now is the current standard, and N is actually being developed for a very high speed, and it is in the drafting process. In the IEEE, this is the organization which produce these standards. So when you are configuring a wireless LAN using Wi-Fi, you configure the access point and also each of the wireless devices. Each access point presents a basic service set. Multiple access points constitute an extended service set, and the specific procedure for configuring a WAP are manufacturer's model specific. Typically, configuration option include the internet connection information and local network information, wireless.
Recording started.
Wireless configuration and wireless security, network security. Okay, so we stopped at when we are using the remote access. So let's resume from comparing access and authentication. So a remote access protocol manages the connection between a remote computer and a remote access server. So the primary remote access protocol in use today are the serial line internet protocol or point-to-point protocol and point-to-point over Ethernet, or we call it PPPoE, and point-to-point tunneling protocol. Also, and the layer 2 tunneling protocol, L2PT. The authentication protocol option depends on the client server and network operating system and remote access server type. Can be handled by individual server, by the remote access server, can be centralized using Radius, which is Radius is a system for authentication that is used. Here is a comparison between the SLIB and BB. So this the protocol used in the remote access. So the SLIB developed for Unix, transports TCP/IP over serial connections, does not error checking or bucket addressing, does not support encrypted password, and connection requires SLIB account on host machine and British file screen workstation. Many modern OS don't support inbound SLIB connections. And there is also the PPP, which implements the TCP/IP connections over point-to-point link. It encapsulates packets, protocols, has the error checking. It can run over many types of physical media, and most commonly used for remote connections to ISPs and LANs. High overhead, not compatible with some other configuration, easy to configure, and has almost completely replaced SLIB. So now the PPP, which is the one in use instead of the SLIB. Now we compare between the two protocols, PPTP and L2PP. PPTP is the Microsoft created protocol based on the PPP to create virtual connection across the internet, tunnel through an existing PPP connection to connect a secure session, and it can encrypt the data. Actually, this is used for secure connection to connect in the virtual private networks by using tunnels, in which these tunnels are routes for data, but they are encryption. There is encryption that protects this data from being discovered. L2TP is the combination of the Microsoft PPTP and Cisco Layer 2 forwarding technology. It's an industry standard supporting TCP and not TCP/IP protocol. Can authenticate user clients using certificates or pre-shared key. Supports stronger authentication methods than the other one. Not compatible with some NAT devices. Tunneling can reduce throughput, provides encryption authentication through Internet Protocol Security or IPsec. So here the L2TP provides the security for VPNs using the IPsec protocol, which works in the transport mode. Data portion packet is encrypted for host-to-host communication. In the tunnel mode, entire packet is encrypted and encapsulated in another packet for host-to-host or host-to-network and network-to-network communication. Okay, so it comes with the two tunnels, either transport, two modes, either transport mode or tunnel mode. So we come to the authentication, understanding authentication protocol. Authentication protocol can be used with two protocol, PPP or PPTP, such as password authentication protocol, Shiva password authentication protocol, challenge handshake authentication protocol, and Microsoft challenge handshake also authentication protocol. These protocols actually, they make sure that the user who you want to communicate with is known, and he is part of the system. By you will provide the password and username, and then this protocol will verify that you are authenticated to get into this system. EAB and MS CHAP version 2 are preferred option. Implement additional centralized support for authentication by including radius servers. Radius server sometimes is bot also in addition to this, which is a de facto standard for support, authentication, authorization, and logging for remote connections. For configuring remote access, actually specific requirements vary by the type of operating systems, but the parameters. So this is similar to the configuration of the access point, for example. The parameters are similar, but it varies depending on the type of the device, the networking device. So, for example, in Windows 2008, use the routing and remote access server for VPN, identify network interfaces, identify how clients are issued IP addresses, either by the DHCP or by the RAS server, set the authentication method, and then configure client connection, either as dial-up, VPN, or both. You can see here the available network interfaces, in which these are the configuration you see in Windows. These are the RAS server properties, RAS security tab, which you can specify the options here. Okay. So these are the authentication modes and the advanced security settings, either logging using extended authentication protocol or whether you want to allow these protocols that I have mentioned or not. These are all about settings and how you configure. Joining LANs into WANs. A LAN become a WAN when traffic between the network process through a public carrier. Consider variables when planning a WAN: number of LANs you need to connect, geographical location of the LANs, number of computers in each LAN, implementation budget, network operating system, network servers and services, and bandwidth requirements. This is what we think about when we want to join some LANs into one WAN. Okay. And here you see the internet VPN. You can make a VPN using the internet, make it into a WAN. So here we have a LAN, and there is an office in another city, for example, connected in a WAN. So we can connect all of them and forming VPN WAN, okay, private network, but it's WAN using the tunneling by VPN, in which this is the tunnel in which the data will be encrypted. Here, the data is being encrypted either in two modes, by using IPsec. Yeah, that's right. So IPsec can encrypt the data, actually end-to-end encryption, or it can be on the tunnel mode, which encrypts the whole communication. Or also SSL, secure circuit layer. So you can tell me, Nasser, what is the difference between SSL and IPsec? Actually, the difference only lie in the layer. So the SSL works in the near the application layer, but the IPsec is an implementation that can be very low at the network layer. Okay. So planning LAN configuration and WAN connection. Planning LAN configuration, decide on the client computer placement and decide on the server placement. Okay. You consider the type, full-time or part-time connection, balance cost and support. And then planning the WAN connection, supported by wide variety of connection types. Technically, a VPN connection and NAT are set up. Connection can be made over one of three network types, either circuit switch network or dedicated circuit network or bucket switch network. Okay. And then connecting with the circuit switch network, each has its parameters, advantage, disadvantage. Either you can connect with the circuit switch network or dedicated circuit networks. Okay, so for the circuit switch network, they are oldest and simplest approach to man and WAN circuits. They actually operate in the telephone network. The telephone network is called circuit switch network. Circuit switch service use cloud architecture. User leads connection points such as telephone line into the common carrier network, which is also the cloud. Cloud-based designs are simple because they move network design and management to the carrier, but they can be more expensive. Two types of services, either POTS or ISDN. ISDN includes the basic rate interface, primary rate interface, and the broadband. ISDN. The main problem, which is here the important thing to remember about circuit switch network, is connection go through regular phone network on different circuits. Data transmission rates on the circuits are usually low, can be expensive if services are provided on a pay-per-use basis. So here, the problem is that there could be expensive service. If the pay-per-use is a business model in which you pay according to the amount of usage you make, okay, which is found in the telecom sector, in which when you use the internet, okay, or when you make a call, actually, you will be charged depending on the duration of the call. So this is called pay-per-use business model. Here you see the connection in the circuit switch network. Now let's go to the dedicated circuit network, in which you will be dedicated the route, not like the so dedicated circuit network. Circuits are leased from common carriers at a flat rate, and they run through carrier cloud, but the network behaves as if you have your own physical circuit. So you would rent the circuit, all of it. It becomes like if it was yours. User then installs equipment needed to connect computers and devices to the circuit, including the multiplexers and or channel service units. Use a combination of three architectures: ring, star, and mesh, and provide two types of servers or services. The T carrier circuits are the most commonly used form, and also the synchronous optical network or SONET are the ANSI standard high-speed dedicated circuit servers. You see, this is how it looks like with the dedicated circuit services. These are the characteristics, which the speed, designation, and the carrier designation. The services of SONET or SDH. These are different types with varying speeds. Yeah, you told me that you don't have these slides. I'm providing it. I promise you that immediately after the lecture. Okay? You will find it in your account. Connecting with bucket switch networks. The bucket switch network, they use user pay a fixed fee for the connection into the network and charge for the number of packets transmitted. A packet assembly, the assembly device, which is called BAD, provides a connection into the network. Types of services: X.25, asynchronous transfer mode, frame relay, switches, multi-mega bit data service, and the multi-protocol label switching, to use labels to route communication appropriately, improves the quality of service and movement of packet with the layer 2 protocols. So these are the types of packet switch services. You see this is a comparison between the 4 of them: X.25, frame relay, synchronous transfer mode, and switches, multi-megabit data service. So this is a comparison between the two X.25 and ATM, which this is here the source, destination, and you see how the network works in the direction of the traffic. So you have to choose the connection type. It depends on the connection requirement, data rate supported, and cost involved. Also the service support from third parties and the maturity of the technology. Here this figure compares the wide area connection services in general. You can see regarding the nominal data rates, the effective data rates, cost, reliability, and network integration. So you can see it's here compared to the Ethernet, SONET. Okay. And here the WAN connection recommendation. According to the network needs, there is a recommendation for use. For example, for the very high traffic needs, Ethernet if available, and SONET if network volume is stable and predictable. Otherwise, you use ATM. So these recommendations to help you design the WAN and to choose the right protocol for it. Then we talk about accessing a wireless network, device that can be used to access wireless network, like smartphone, as I pointed in the beginning of the lecture, cell phones with some computing capabilities, as you know, BlackBerry, iPhone, Android, tablets also. These are the recommended devices that they usually have no option to get into a network in another way. There should be only a wireless connection. Like tablets also coming from many vendors. And the last thing in this chapter is about cloud computing. So cloud computing, it provides everything as a service, in which organization purchases service from server provider that has a large network of hardware capabilities to provide services to clients. It allows access to service without the expense of acquiring and maintaining a large infrastructure. So the main benefit of using cloud computing is that when renting the infrastructure is more cheaper than buying them. Okay? When you don't want to buy servers and when you don't want to buy storage, you don't have the budget to keep all of this running with the IT department and technical support. All these are costs. Sometimes you might be provided with all these services with a lower cost. So here you can consider the cloud computing in general. The type of services provided, such as software as a service, development services, utility services, commerce services. It can provide you with infrastructure, hardware, software, without you having this. For the front end, we mean by the client side, they must have access to the network containing the cloud, some kind of client hardware, appropriate software to access the cloud service. For the back end, it includes the server, storage devices, and these devices covered by service providers. You just need to have the front end, which is the machines only, that will let you to get into the cloud. And there is also the middleware, which is responsible for allowing communication between the system with interaction between the front and back end. Okay, so this is all about this chapter, and I'm going now to upload it for you in the Blackboard. Okay, so do you have any questions before the end of the lecture? Okay, then thank you for attending. See you inshallah next week. Goodbye.
Recording stopped.